What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, it's time we had a check-in on Extra Booster 02, the Anime 25th collection. It's been out for a week and a bit now, and we've had the cards in hand, we've had a chance to actually sit and have a look at what's going on with the prices here, and the answer essentially is, this set is all over the place. This set is just going a little bit silly. This set cannot make up its mind what it's doing. Most of the time, what happens is that when a set comes out, the prices crash. That is a pretty standard thing to do. Well, essentially here, there's a little bit of that going on, and there's a little bit of it going up again, and yeah. I don't really know where we are, but what I can do is I can show you the trends and I can give you some idea of what's going on, but I just want to let you know at the offset here, we're a week and a half in, and the usual coming down in price quite sharply, it's not happening as strictly here as we would usually expect. So let's start off with a Manga Rare. This is a big card in the set, right? And generally speaking, the Manga Rares tend to jump down pretty dramatically after release. And when I showed this Luffy Manga Rare the other day, I told you that it was, at least if we look at it in Japan, compared to, you know, we see the price in Japan for this Manga Luffy. And we can look at the price compared to other Manga Rares in Japan, and that gives us an idea of what the rough approximate value for this Manga Luffy should be. And we saw that it was a little bit too high. So it's come down since, right? And the answer is yes, for about 5 seconds. And then it jumped back up again. If we have a look at the graph on TCG Player, it dropped down to about $1,000, which seems too high, and has jumped back up again to $1,100. And the fact that it's up to $1,100 isn't really here or there. That's not really the point. The point is that it hasn't just kept falling. The fall down to 1,000 was expected, but we were expecting it to keep falling down to somewhere about 800 at least. And there's a very decent chance that it will keep going. But it hasn't actually kept going yet. And that's kind of the point here. This is not what we would generally expect to see. The other big card in the set, the other really big one, when we're going to talk about the foil leaders in a moment. The other big one that isn't a foil leader is the Luffy leader. Well, this had the pre-sale of like $375, dropped down to about $295. Well, that's all fairly standard. The pre-sales are too high, but it's jumped up to about $380. It's actually just a tiny smidge higher than the pre-sale is. And again, you can find plenty of sales above this, which is absolutely bizarre. But the answer for this is very, very simple here. People are looking at this going, this is the best deck in the game. And by the way, I don't think there's any secret at this point. I don't think anyone's surprised here. We all right now are aware that in the EB-02 meta, this Luffy is the big card. It is the big leader. In Japan, it was by a very wide margin the best deck in the meta when EB-02 was a later set. That seems to be the case going on here. So we're expecting the price here to be crashing, but it's not crashing. It's actually going up above what it was initially, which is frankly absolutely wild to me. This price for any alternate art leader is wild. But when it's the hands down best leader in the meta and it's Luffy, and it's the new set which has still got the hype factor associated with it, yeah, I think maybe this does help to explain it. Also, at this point, some of you are probably thinking, well, come on a second, Wassy, you're only looking at TCG Player here, so is this really reliable? I'm not going to do this for everyone, okay? We're not doing that. We haven't got time. But I will do it for Manga Luffy, and I'll show you that actually Manga Luffy here, it's selling for over 1,100 like all day long. We got 3 sales in a row here where it's selling for 1,100 or more. And if you're looking at them going, hang on a second, Wassy, they're a few days old, I don't believe you. Well, how about this one that sold for $1,100 more recently, like a day ago? Literally, it is the most recent sale over on eBay for a Manga Luffy. So make no mistake about it, this isn't just, oh, TCG players way too high, stop using their graphs. No, TCG players bang on. This is just where we are, unfortunately. It is, yeah. And the last one I'm going to do this with is Leader Luffy. The last 3 sales, there was actually one that sold for only $300, but the others are $335 and $325. Admittedly, slightly lower than the $375 that TCG Player is telling us, but crucially, massively above the drop we were expecting. And again, I cannot stress this enough. Any One Piece leader at over $300, we just don't really see that. That's absurd money. But that's where we are. If we have a look at some of the other cards in the set, how about the alternate art of the Secret Rare Luffy? Well, the pre-sale was $150, it dropped down to $95, and it's already back up to $115. It actually got back up to $135 and has dropped to $115. It's making a bit of a wavy line. The thing about this card is, and this is the same card as the Manga Luffy, but obviously the manga isn't really getting into decks. That's very much a collectability thing. What we've got here is the only secret rare in the set, and it is an absolute staple in that Luffy deck, which is crushed in the metagame right now. Absolute staple. And this is the alternate art version of it. Even the regular version of it, pre-sale was $100. It's been down as low as $70, and it's basically flicking between $80 and $85 at the moment. For the regular secret rare. Yes, the price has come down since release, but it hasn't just come down in the way we would generally expect. And I think a lot of this is because it's an extremely playable card. If you're going to be playing that Luffy deck, which we all acknowledge is the best deck in the meta right now, you're going to need this card, so there is no cheap version of it. If we look at some of the other alternate art, Sanji and Puddin, now, as I told you the other day, the big cards in this set are generally categorized by, are they a staple in that Luffy deck? If they are, they're going to be among the biggest cards in the set because, well, everyone wants those cards. And there's enough people out there that want the alt version to bring their deck out. So we have a look at Sanji and Pudding, and the pre-sale of 100 seems ridiculous, goes down to 55, back up to over 80, and then settles for the minute at about $80. It's an ordinary alternate art that's $80 a week and a half after release. We just don't see this. And don't think it's the only one. How about the Nami? This is the other alternate art, which is basically a staple. I said basically a staple. It's an absolute hard staple in that Luffy deck. It's your generic Straw Hat Searcher in a deck which basically has to only play Straw Hats. And again, we're talking about a card which has dropped in price significantly, but then jumped back up to over $70. This is an alternate art. It is not the biggest alternate art. And yet, over a week and a half since the release of the set, it's sitting here at $70 plus. And I can't stress enough how ridiculous this is. Alternate art should be like 40 if they're a big alternate art. Having 2 that are above 70 is wild. Absolutely wild. And this is having a little bit of a knock-on effect of other cards. Like Vegapunk has gone from $30 up to $40 since release. And don't get me wrong, Vegapunk's a cool card. I love the artwork, and it's a blocker that can, on play, help you find scientists and all of that. It's got a nice trigger. But this really does seem like a card which is destined for a Vegapunk deck, and Vegapunk's not that good right now. Although, to be fair, I do, every so often, I do see a Vegapunk just kind of popping up, having a little bit of a top cut here and there, which always makes me happy. It's a deck I'm very fond of. But this is not exactly some big card in the set. But then again, Enel, remember that was supposed to be the savior of the Enel deck. That one has been bouncing a little bit, but still the general trend of this is very much on a downward trajectory. So some of the cards like Vegapunk seem to be being pulled up by the set as a whole, going a bit nuts. But then by the same token, we got plenty of other cards which are just dropping down. So what about these foil leaders? Well, the answer is pass. Because again, they're just all over the place. Boa Hancock was the big one, still is the big one in the set. This is the foil leader that everybody really wants. And that was at a pre-sale of like $420. It's dropped down to $385. Which, on the one hand, that is a big drop, yeah? That is a significant drop. On the other hand, it's still a $385 card. So let's not pretend this is some kind of like super cheap card at the moment, because it really isn't. But then we can look at Yamato, which had a pre-sale of like $200 and has jumped up to $280. And Yamato is one of those decks which I've always loved, but let's not pretend Yamato's a great card right now. Now, counter-argument to that, remember, there is a Yamato starter deck coming. There are going to be 5 new mechanically unique cards which are designed for this Yamato deck. So maybe this is a case of people going, yeah, we know they're getting revealed, so we think the new cards are going to be good enough, we think it's worth going for, so let's go and push this one up. Maybe. And now it's a deck we expect to be getting a lot better in the near future with the release of EB-02, certainly did in Japan. So even though the alternate art Enel is going down, the leader is going up. Pre-sale again was about $200, it's gone up to $250. So maybe this is people speculating on the leaders which are going to be jumping up soon. Although again, if that was the case, why would the alt Enel card not also be jumping up as well? But then we can instead have a look at something like Luffy, which dropped from like 260 down to 240 and then back up to 255. That was just kind of jumping around a little bit. Did go down, has gone up again since. And the real message for EB-02 is, and this is your answer, we're not there yet. We don't know. And it's not because we're not looking hard enough, and it's not because we lack knowledge or context from previous One Piece TCG releases. It's because we don't know yet. It's because the market hasn't told us what's going on. There are cards like Sanji and Pudding, like Nami, like the Secret Rare Luffy, which are not probably going down anytime soon because they're staples in that Luffy deck. And that Luffy leader is ridiculous right now. But then again, it's hard to argue when it's the alternate art leader of by far the best leader in the game and the only one in the set, which at least people think it makes pulling it a little bit harder. And then with the foil leaders, your Hancock is crashing down, but then you've got ones like Yamato which are jumping up. And maybe the answer is there is a middle ground to which all the foil leaders are racing. We don't have a good answer right now. What I can tell you is some cards are jumping up, some cards are going down, and as we've gone through this video, I have given you my best look at why these are happening. But the answer really seems to be this set is a little bit wild, it's not following the usual rules, and maybe it is just going to take a little bit longer to shake out. For now, I want to hear your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions. I want to know which cards you've got from EB-02, and I want to know which cards you want. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourself till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.